Yeah. Yo.
Lucas, you have to put your phone mute, please. We are back. We are back online. Lucas, you have to put your phone mute, please.
We can use and mute your phone.
Okay. Hello again. It's very nice to be back. I'm gonna call Rita Barros. There we'll start this roundtable about the handbook presentation. Rita, just let me share if people on YouTube are following us at the second part. Let me see. Because when we put it, it starts again from the beginning. Do you have someone on YouTube to check if they are seeing us now? They are following us now? Can you check, please? Just 1 minute. I'm just going to check if people are there, listen to us. We also have two screens. Can you please check if...
Yes, they are seeing you.
Okay, let's start. So let's start with Rita Barros. Yes, Rita.
Well, good afternoon, everyone. My name is Rita. I'm part of the MINDtheGaps team, and my role here is to moderate this roundtable. So let's proceed on our agenda. And I would like to start this roundtable by welcoming all participants. As you know, this roundtable will focus on education for digital citizenship. And this is the moment to present the MINDtheGaps Handbook, which is actually the first output of the project. So we take this opportunity also to reinforce the information that the handbook is available for download at MINDtheGaps website. We have here with us some researchers from the project's team that will share with us some reflections and some comments and contributions about this theme. But before that, we will make a brief introduction and we will present an overview of the handbook's organization, which includes three main parts. The first one provides a more theoretical approach and the MINDtheGaps framework, as well the concepts of digital citizenship, autonomy, critical thinking, digital inclusion, social media literacy. In 1 minute, Amelia Lopes will talk a little bit about that. And the handbook's first part also addresses ethical issues related to digital citizenship and the topics of security, privacy, and free expression at the internet. And this concept will be explored by João Caramel. The second part of the handbook, entitled Learning from the Field, takes into account the teachers' perspectives regarding digital citizenship education, as well the perspectives of school managers and also policymakers. Elsa Guedes Teixeira will provide us some information supported on the data collected in the scope of the handbook production. The second part of the handbook also presents some European projects related to digital media literacy and youth. And finally, the third part of the handbook that lists a set of digital media literacy resources. So after this brief introduction, I will give now the floor to Amelia Lopes. Amelia, can you start your presentation, please?
Thank you. Thank you, Rita. Good afternoon to all of you attending the meeting. Congratulations to all of you for these so amazing presentations. In this moment of the round table, it's our intention to select some aspects of the handbook to talk with them, and I think that the idea is to motivate you to read and to use the handbook. At first, we will address the concept of digital citizenship. Just in page 7, you can find in the handbook some main aspects of the concept. That is a concept with not different but several aspects, and in page 7 we can find two important dimensions of the concept. One of them concerning the proper and responsible use of the technology, and also safe, legal, and ethical use. And these three statements are about that. Sourcing and collaborators, they say that it refers to qualities required to use digital tools and behave in digital environments. Rebel, for example, refers that norms it concerns norms of appropriate responsible behavior with regard to technology use. And Aslan says that it concerns the use of digital tools respecting moral rules and individual rights and freedom. But we can go further in the concept of digital citizenship, considering the active digital citizenship. And in that case, it concerns also as the potential, as it is said by Mossberger and collaborators, it concerns potential or political and economic engagement in society in the digital age. What it is very, very important is another way of participation, very different from that of 60s or 70s in the 20th century. So we need to learn also about that, how to be active. Yes, in this slide we can see different aspects usually considered as main aspects of digital citizenship: digital access, digital etiquette, laws and regulations, communication and digital skills, digital literacy, digital consumption and commerce, ethics, rights and responsibilities, digital health, and digital security. As a whole, these aspects call our attention to three keywords concerning digital citizenship: education, the individuals, to use digital tools, protect the individuals using digital tools, and respect the individuals when using digital tools. In the next slide, these 10 aspects are roughly organized according to the model of digital competence development from Council of Europe 2019, being online, well-being online, and rights online. And I risk to make a parallel with these dimensions and the rationalities as conceptualized by Habermas, modern rationalities. And we can consider that being online is focused the cognitive and instrumental side of the concept, with digital access and digital literacy, well-being, aesthetic and expressive rationality, rights online, the practical and moral rationality. I think this is important to organize a very long list. When we have very long lists, we have some difficulty, as with the cube, Lucas, okay? Sometimes we feel disorganized and we need to organize. And here we have an organization, a kind of organization. So digital being online includes digital access and digital literacy. I said that. So digital skills are absolutely necessary to be a digital citizen, and this requires you to be informed and trained, and to inform and train. This is important for all of us, but mostly for those, sometimes teachers, who for cultural and historical reasons refuse to learn from digital tools. To learn and to be skilled in digital technologies is a door open to the world as it is currently. And usually it is easier and more beautiful than we thought. And I think that we had examples in the presentation before of our youth, our participants, our students. But there are also a lot of people in the world still prevented to access digital skills or devices, mostly because of socioeconomic bias, but also to deep cultural beliefs against digital discourse. It's our responsibility to make digital skills independent of neoliberal educational discourse, to naturalize the critical use of digital technologies, and to train ourselves and educate our children and youth to be effectively, pragmatically, and cognitively digitally skilled. It is also our responsibility to claim for better digital resources in schools and for parents. In the second dimension, well-being online, these dimensions stress the well-being of people using digital tools and communication. Digital etiquette is in some way allows to talk about almost all of them. And in internet, you can find a lot of interesting videos about that. Some of them are given in the slide. So well-being online concerns individual well-being through the quality of human relations mediated by digital tools. It poses the focus on individual decisions, taking care of the other when communicating by digital tools. what to say, what to show, how to respond, how to show we care without face-to-face relationships and without touching. It also calls the attention to the quality of digital environments, preventing physical and mental illness. The third dimension introduces the regulations, and the legal dimension is very important in here. In this dimension, for example, it's important to learn and to educate for buying, for example, and to behave in a moral way. I think my colleague João Caramelo is going to talk about this afterwards, about this dimension of the concept of digital citizenship, implying ethics, rights and responsibilities, security, and digital regulations. In this slide, in next slide, now that the main aspects of the digital citizenship concept are presented, we are going to stress the notion of active digital citizenship. So, active digital citizenship is more than digital skills and is more than digital citizenship. As digital citizenship, it calls for etiquette and creativity, empathy and rights, duties, respect, protection. But as active digital citizenship, it claims for equity, empowerment, and advocacy. I think that at the end, in the open discussion moderated by Sophia, we will talk about this. So to end, to finish, only some words for teachers. Coming from our experience as teachers and coming from the bottom of our heart. In the digital age, students live in a world, a general ambience, a culture, a specific way of life that has no natural coincidence spaces with those of teachers, adults, only channels of connection here or there. In effect, the new era installs a world of its own. It's a world, really a new world. This world has rules of coexistence, a particular legality, and a particular ethics. To enter this new world, it is necessary to be born again or to have continuously birth, continuous renewal as a normal way of being a teacher. And as I said, this is so because this is a world of its own with a particular legality and ethics. And João, you have the floor now.
Thank you, Amelia. Good afternoon to all the participants, and congratulations to our young participants in their fantastic video. Thank you all for your artwork. It was really interesting to see those products, but I imagine that the process was also very enriching for you all. So, as Amelia already told us, we are here also to invite you to download and read our digital handbook. So I'll try to present shortly some aspects that we deal in the handbook concerning ethics, security, and safety in internet use, and not only in what concerns educational work, but also in what concerns research with children and adolescents in the digital world. So, as you all already know, of course, as educational professionals and as researchers that aim to work with young people and aim to promote their political and cultural involvement through online activities, and with this concern, harsh concern with the promotion of social justice, of course, we need to have a reflection on and practical concerns about ethics, rights, security, and privacy, namely considering one of the definitions of active digital citizenship that stress the idea that a legal, safe, and responsible digital technology use is a guarantee for an active but also a protected participation in online environments. Furthermore, we know, and you can find it also in the handbook, that in the international research show us and allow us to understand that even if the importance of the students' active participation in democratic life, namely through digital platforms, but also interlinked between the online and offline worlds, is of utmost importance, and this importance is nowadays undisputed. But issues such as ethics, empathy, health and well-being in online interactions or digital security still have a diminished presence in school curriculums. So the key words here are, as Amelia Lopes stressed before, in line with the International Society for Technology and Education, are respect. Respect in order to promote well-being, educate. Educate in order to have a digital etiquette that allow us to have right relations in the internet world, and protect. Protect in what concerns digital security. Therefore, I would say that either as useful tools for any adult working with young people on digital citizenship in educational contexts or researching about them as we are doing, or either broadly considering that any adult, and any adult is an educator, has a particular responsibility or mandate in mediating and regulating children's use of the internet in order to protect their rights. For these reasons, it is important to identify some frameworks, some approaches that allow us to understand and assess thoroughly the risks and opportunities that children face in online environments. To illustrate this, you can see it now in our presentation, and you can see it also in our handbook in a more developed way. We must consider different children's roles in the internet world. That is, children are not only recipients, I would say some targets or some passive subjects in the internet world, but they are also participants. That is, that they establish connections, they are relational subjects, and they are also actors in the sense they are authors, that they produce also nowadays, as we already have seen with our young participants, also produce contents in the internet. So these different roles of young people in online environments, of course, must be combined and must be crossed with what may be the different dimensions and the different risks and opportunities that we find online. For instance, it's clear for all of us that that internet may be seen as an opportunity in terms of civic and political engagement in an ever more entangled world, able to promote a global citizenship education. And this would be an opportunity in what concerns education, learning, digital literacy, but also participation and civic engagement. But it's the same context where interactions may occur that are promoting values antagonists to that, namely racism or xenophobia. So you see that opportunities and risks are intertwined, and also they link with the different roles that young people can have in the online world. In the same sense, it is also important to assess how the children's digital experience and in its different contexts and its different specificities relates to how the United Nations Convention on the Rights of the Child and rights concerning provision to support children with the rights to recreation, leisure, and education that may support their full potential, the rights of protection against all forms of abuse and neglect, and the right of participation that is comprising the freedom of expression and the right to be consulted on the matters that are of their concern. We must think of these three rights of the children and to think how they can be boosted or endangered, in fact, by different practical uses of the internet. I can give you some examples. How is internet and is networking opportunities being used to promote child-led initiatives or to hear their opinions that enhance their participation? I think we had a great example of that in our first part of the seminar, but it's a question that we should be asking in our education context and broadly in our society. How can the digital mediums counter traditional inequalities and provide answers specific to the needs in terms of education, leisure, entertainment, culture, heritage, knowledge, information, individual expression to our young people? And what threats are possible to identify in the day-to-day use of the digital tools in internet concerning possible exploitations and abuse of the children's well-being? And how can we protect? So these are questions that are posed to us when we are working in education in digital world, but also in our work as researchers. So as educators and also as researchers, we must continue to ask what kind of experience and interactions and in the digital world can endanger any of the children's rights. How can we educate to protect them from it? And on the affirmative side, what are the experiences and the forms of interaction that may help us to promote the opportunities and the benefits we also easily find out in the access and use of the digital tools in the digital world, and that may reinforce the same rights that sometimes are at stake. A last word for this slide that you are seeing that concerns the research and researchers' challenges in this matter, and that we draw from the Norwegian National Research Ethics Committee, and that you will find also in the handbook, and we should carefully consider and adapt in its specificities when we research with and about children. Some of these considerations we may say that are common to other research processes, but the specific nature of the virtual field poses us specific questions about the tools, the data we retrieve, namely about the distinction of public and private data. And it also challenges to a necessary assessment of the vulnerability of the participants, the data confidentiality, the duty that researchers have to inform whenever child rights are seen as being at risk, and also a challenging issue of informed consent when we work with children and young people, and namely in digital settings, or the difficult balance between data sharing and open data, and the safeguarding of the integrity of our participants. So, as you may see, our handbook does not give you final answers to the ethic dilemmas that we face as educators and as researchers, but tries to inform us through different frameworks that may help us to reflect on the issues that our practice as educators and as researchers, the issues that arise from this practice concerning the digital world, and specifically the challenges that are concerned with respect for the children's right. So a final word, just to say that in a moment where personal data and big data is being commodified, is being transformed in a new market commodity, for us as researchers, and I think for all as people that interact in the online world, these issues of respect, protect, and educate must concern us all. Thank you. So now the floor to Elsa.
Hello, thank you, João. Good afternoon and welcome everyone. So my part of the presentation is about the professional views, and we start with the presentation of the principles. And please, thank you. Yes, so we have collected data through 2 online questionnaires from teachers and also managers, principals, and policymakers from all the partners in this project, all the countries, so Portugal, Bulgaria, Norway, and Turkey. So 34 managers, principals, and policymakers answered the first questionnaire, and the second one, 86 teachers. And as you can see, there are some differences here in gender. So mainly men are manager, principals, and policymakers, and mostly the women who are teachers answered it. So in both you can see that people are mainly over 50 years old. So people that have answered our questionnaire. Rita, can. So first, we'll see the managers, principals, and policymakers' perspectives. So the respondents have answered in 3 levels: at the European scope, national scope, and local school context. Rita or Angelica, I'm not sure who's changing. So at the European scope, the respondents pointed out Connecting Europe Facility, European SchoolNet, Safer Internet Centers, and the Work Program 2020. The national scope, some of you recognize the Portuguese strategies or programs like Escola Segura, Safe Schools, SeguraNet, SafeNet, but also the Digital Transition Action Plan, also the importance of the public schools, libraries, Portugal in Code initiative, but also some inputs from the other partners, Bulgaria, Norway, and Turkey. At the local school context, the managers and principals mainly refer to the curricular plan, either by a transversal course or a separate course. Also legislation awareness, equipment and material resources, awareness actions for students, teachers, and parents, projects implementations such as this one, for instance, and training. So according to these principals and policymakers and managers' perspectives, a staggering 70% said that their institution did not participate in projects involving young people digital literacy. And furthermore, when they asked if in their country digital literacy is addressed to these young people in this our target group between 12 and 18, So half of the people said no, and half of the people said yes, which is very interesting to maybe understand. Does this mean not knowing exactly what is being done, or some people know, some other people don't? It's very interesting to analyze this data more specifically. So, no, sorry, there was another one. Yes. In relation to the familiarity with other European projects or initiatives that address young people, specifically young people in situations of social vulnerability, more than 80% said they had no familiarity with these projects. Yes. Next. Also, when they were asked if they had knowledge of national political recommendation or strategies to increase awareness about risks and opportunities for young people online, almost 60% said no. And also no to the national and governmental conditions to promote digital literacy and social media in schools, to attend to this public, this specific public. So in regard now to the teachers' perspectives. Yes. As to the subject of media and digital literacy in schools, 93% of teachers mentioned they develop activities to promote students' digital literacy. However, they mainly mentioned digital resources, and there were few references to actual activities and methodologies. So the majority of resources that were mentioned were either digital platforms like Moodle, Khan Academy, Virtual School, Google Classroom, etc., or digital tools to support face-to-face or online classroom, and video conferences also like Zoom, Skype, Google Meet, that we have come to know so well during the last months and the last year. So they also stated that they teach their students how to search online for reliable sources, and they promote discussions to provide information to prevent dangers online. As to how media and digital literacy can be improved in schools, 36% of the teachers said that their school does not have a strategy to promote digital literacy with young people. And for those who mentioned that there was a strategy, the weaknesses that they found found in this strategy were either material or human. So in material resources like lack of equipment, outdated computers, lack of internet access, both at school and at home. And I'm sure many of the teachers that are listening to and seeing our presentation can relate to these kinds of problems in their schools. Sometimes you do have the computers, but the internet access is not very good. And there are problems also with homeschooling, because at home, many of these vulnerable young people don't have either computers or access to internet. And also a problem with human resources, because some teachers and many parents do not have the digital skills to help the students. As for the opportunities, many people mentioned the question of school libraries projects that can be transversal and across course competence plan. Also using the school subject citizenship and development as an opportunity to increase digital literacy. Also, they mentioned that collaborative work with other colleagues and with the students could develop students' digital autonomy, and they are in favor of participation in national and international projects. Next, please. So when teachers are asked about the opinion of media and digital literacy to promote equity, most of the teachers said that media can in fact allow more democratic access to information and knowledge by and the access of digital resources in school are an asset either to promote active learning of the students and also to improve opportunities for those students who do not have access to these resources at home. So in this way, school can have a very important role. The main challenge that they find related to working with young people facing these vulnerable situations, actually, it's not very different from other people face parents, teachers, educators with other young people. So almost 100% of the teachers mentioned they usually warn their students about risks and opportunities online. And they find that the internet risks and dangers are the main challenge when working with the young people facing vulnerable situations, especially concerning personal exposure online, lack of awareness of regarding their privacy, and also the amount of time spent on internet and social media without adult supervision, not only on social networks, but also in playing online games, etc. So I thank you for your attention. And now I hand over the presentation to Rita. Thank you.
Thank you, Elsa. And thank you, Amelia and João, for your interesting presentation. And also for the ability to manage the time in a perfect manner. I think your presentations allowed us to give the due importance to the underlying cornerstones of the youth digital citizenship education. And as stated in this roundtable, an active digital citizenship education involves the development of critical thinking, the autonomy, the inclusive practices, and in addition to the digital skills, the promotion of digital media literacy includes the awareness of the risks and the opportunities of internet use, includes the etiquette, the respect in the digital environment, and of course arises legal and ethical issues that must be taken into account. In addition, the youth engagement, the promotion of political participation, the possibility to change the global world supported by digital technologies cannot be neglected, and adults, and in particular teachers, as mentioned by Elsa, cannot neglect of all these topics. So there is no doubt that the MINDtheGaps Handbook will support teachers and institutional staff that work with the young people, aiming towards the training and further development in the media literacy area. And besides that, the handbook will also provide information about digital open online tools to develop digital skills among and with young people. In sum, we hope that this roundtable and the MINDtheGaps Handbook contribute to raise this awareness among all those who work with youth. And now I will invite all the audience to participate in a very simple activity. We will ask you to go to the chat and please access to the link that we are now sharing. Well, this activity consists of using one word or a small expression to tell us what attracted your curiosity the most in this handbook, or in the case in this roundtable. You can start now, please. I hope everything is working. So as the participants submit their contributions, a word cloud is being built, but I can't see this word cloud. I don't know if Angelica can help me. Angelica?
Rita, may I?
Yes.
Hello, everybody. I'm sorry. We are trying to provide so many participants in the YouTube chat. They are asking for the link to the certificate, to the present certificate. We are trying to provide it. Meanwhile, but it looks like people are not able to get it. They don't see it. I've pasted it several times in the chat, in the YouTube chat, but people, they are saying that they don't see it. So it seems like only I can see it when I pasted it. So we must find some way to provide it to participants, some other alternative way, because this way they don't see it. And I'm sorry, this is not exactly
Okay.
what we're...
I am here. Sorry, yeah. I had the internet problem connection, but I'm here again. So are you talking about the presence link or the word?
The word cloud.
The word cloud?
Yes.
Okay.
We would like to see it.
Yes, that's a good idea. Mariana asked us, why don't we ask them their email later, and then they can complete the word cloud, no problem. Can you share the link of the chat? Okay, I'm going to link this to share. We are going to share the link on YouTube. Maybe it's easier. Did you share the link here on the chat?
Yes, yes.
Yes. And did someone share the link on YouTube? I ask you please to share the link on the YouTube. Isn't that possible? To share there? I'll try to do that. Just 1 minute. If you don't,
I think it's not possible because I shared it so many times and I can see it in my chat, but the other participants can't see it. Nobody can see it. It was quite odd to see that people were asking for something that I was keeping providing, but it was
unfortunately Zoom doesn't allow us to copy from the chat, only to click, so you have to share it from another medium.
Okay, so I'm going to share both links. You just have to wait 1 minute. In my opinion, it's better to start. Sophia,
yes.
are you there? And is that okay? I'm going to find another way to share both links. Meanwhile, we can start the forum because we don't have much time to wait for the link. I'm going to share both links, the link to the presence and also the link to the word cloud, but not the word cloud, but we're going to start the forum. Sophia, whenever you can do that, thank you.
Yes, it's a good idea.
Thank you.
I can start now. I'm ready. Okay, good afternoon to you all. So we are coming to an end, but before we have this open space to explore some of the topics that we have been discussing and presenting during the afternoon. So my role here is to be a little bit like a moderator, but trying to also to activate some more focused discussion on a few topics. I will have the help of Marianne to help me trying to respond to both chat in the Zoom room at the same time as trying to answer to some comments or questions that you will be writing in the chat in the YouTube. So we will try both to manage everything. Let's see how it works. So when I'm going to share a small PowerPoint only with three slides to guide us a little bit in this discussion. I think it's working. Well, you will let me know if it's not. So the first topic that we thought that could be interesting for us now to discuss, and it was at some extent it was referred previously, but regards this idea that young people are by default digital experts, in particular those that we are calling digital natives, against the idea of the the digital migrants. That, for example, that's who I am. I'm not a digital native. I'm a digital migrant. But there is this idea that young people are, as digital natives, are as well digital experts. Oh, well, this is not exactly true, and there are several of studies, and the literature is already showing that students, that learners, don't know how to use technology, how to capitalize technology. So this means that we have some work still to do together with them, always with them, to do in order to overcome some of the obstacles that might come with this idea that they already know how to use all devices and how to use easily technology. And because of that, sometimes it's not so visible for the society as a whole to understand that there are still young people that are digitally excluded. Amelia referred this before. So digital competence is actually a survival skill in the contemporary society. I have this reference here just to guide us, but it's not so relevant. Everybody knows that. But I would like you to discuss with me, what does it mean to be, when we say that someone is familiar with digital? And we all know that this is not exactly the same as having digital literacy. I'm not going here to unpack these concepts of digital competence and digital skill and digital literacy. We all know that these are different concepts. There are not consensual concepts, but well, we have here a common ground. This is the first question for us to reflect. In your opinion, in your perspective, from your different positionalities, because from what we saw when we were yesterday discussing how we would finalize this presentation, who were the participants of this webinar, and you all come from different backgrounds and from different contexts. So what do you think? What, in your opinion, from your standpoint, from your personal, professional standpoint, what do you think that would be the fundamental digital competencies, skills, if you like, that we need to develop among young people? And now we will wait for your insights. I cannot see the chat in the Zoom room, but I can see the chat in the...
I like the distinction you have made between being familiar and literacy. And and the question is for you. And for you, what is the difference between to be familiar with and to have interesting? The literacy is something that we are not, we have.
Yes, literacy, digital, well, actually literacy is always the same. If you may speak about media literacy, about reading, writing, you may, and now digital literacy. So we need the context, we need the historical context to analyze how literacy has been used a long time, but it's more related with knowledge, with values, with critical thinking, with communication information, managing information and competencies.
Yes,
So,
I think I understand. We can be familiar and only to use only one aspect of digital tool. Okay.
Exactly. So sometimes people think that being familiar with the digital is like know how to manage well a device or a screen or a keyboard or a specific program. And the literature is now being more and more developed in this regard, and considering that being familiar is to be able to use not only the competencies, but also what the digital environment may be to me. How may I be able and competent also to use what the digital and the technology may give me to, for example, to be a citizen, to appropriate rights, to be aware of opportunities that I may have. If we are outside the digital, being literate in digitally is to be able to recognize what the technology may offer me as an individual or a group. How may I benefit? How may I be more autonomous? That's how I, and this capacity to be able to understand new opportunities coming from the technology, might be from other things, but we are discussing here technologies and digital. This is what it means to be literate. I might have a specific competence for a technology, but tomorrow that technology, it will be outdated. And then I will need to develop a new competence, a new skill. So literacy is something that it's not outdated so often. And so that's my perspective. Let me see, because I see here some
yes, okay.
So I think the first comment was from Sylvia Gomes. I think Sylvia was answering the question. She's mentioning, for example, to educate, I think, for rights online. And I think this is a very relevant competence or capacity, if you may so. And this is always related with rights offline. This is our perspective when we are in the project discussing. We always see this combination between the digital and the non-digital. So our understanding in the project is much more how those environments are always combined. And you know, young people are, as we will see in the other side, another side, they are multi-sited learners. So they don't learn only in one context. They are always and sometimes simultaneously learning in different contexts. And well, we need to understand that in order to be able to design strategies, for example, to teach them, but to provide them with information and skills, for example, to recognize their rights in an online environment, for example. Thank you, Sylvia, for your comments. Distinguishing factual news from misinformation, disinformation. Well, Sylvia, you know that a few years ago, in 2017, there was this big survey done by the European Commission, I think, or a project financed by the European Commission with young people. And they, young people from different countries in Europe, they design something called 12 Ideas for the Future. And actually, one of the ideas that they wrote and that they considered as relevant is exactly here what you mentioned, Sylvia. Provide us with the capacity, with critical thinking, to distinguish fake news to actually real based news. So this is also very, very interesting. Thank you. Then we have here the contribution of Marta Sampaio. Thank you, Marta. I think I know you from somewhere. And Marta is saying that maybe use and think about online information in a critical way. I think it's very much aligned with this that I was mentioning. And this critical thinking is actually what you know, some experts call the foundational, I don't know if the exact word in English, foundational competencies, which are those competencies that don't change so much, as I was saying. For example, computational thinking. It's not just about programming, you know, it's not just about this idea of a nerd somewhere writing code for some technology. Computational thinking is related with critical thinking, is related with problem solving. Those are foundational competencies that I want my students to have. They are not from technology. Because this enable young people, young adults, and actually all of us, because lifelong learning is also very much focused on this, also for adult learning. And this investment in this kind of competencies are actually very, very relevant. Exactly, the ability to find and select information, words from Marta Sampaio as well, and contextualize. This is also very interesting because one of the foundational competencies is to be able to read an environment. This is for today and for the future. Several tech companies are investing in discussing this. So we need to work with these colleagues from technologies. We need to be part of the dialogue with them. And maybe in our group, in our project, we may also discuss otherwise we will be discussing alone, saying that competencies and skills and literacies are so relevant. So tech companies are already also discussing this that we are discussing here in a different way, in a different perspective, maybe in a more neoliberal perspective. We know that, but they are discussing it, and it's better for us to know how they are discussing in order for us to develop this competence in a more critical way. So I think one of the competence that Marta is referring is about the capacity to read the context. And this is fundamental because more often we are living in, we are socializing in digital environments. So we need this capacity to read, regular offline context, and we need the same capacity to read digital environments. We had the experience this year. We had the first massive experience this year. May we learn something with this experience towards the future. So I think that was, thank you for this contribution. Let me see. So I think the other comment, because there are a discussion about the handbook and about the certificate in the middle, so I have to be choosing. But to have an ethical and respectful presence online, exactly, it's related, of course, with what my colleague from the project, João Caramelo, was referring. And this issue about ethics is also interesting because we need to combine, but once more, this is not an issue only for people from social sciences and humanities. This is an issue to be shared with tech companies. I'm sorry about this, this exaggerated reference to tech companies, but we need to learn how to act and to be ethical in a digital environment as well as outside the digital, of course. But there are specificities for the digital environment. But we also need that tech companies anticipate how we may use the digital. This is not just about us always, running behind. So we need to press to influence, we need to be influencers. So we need to influence those who are producing technology to anticipate dangers in using technology. Of course, that we need to provide young people with those ethical issues and awareness, but we need to have more, to have a systemic impact. We need to press at political level, at big companies that are producing technology to us as individuals and groups to be more aware about the misuse of technology, also being care, an ethical of care with young people and children using technology. So they need to anticipate dangerous use and misuse of technology. So we need to share the ethical responsibilities among users and among those who are producing.
This is so important, the reflection sphere that this first reflection that you launched, because as you mentioned, critical thinking associated with, linked with ethical issues is so important in this moment, namely to fight fake news. So congratulate you.
Thank you. So I'm not sure how much time do I have, but maybe Mariana or Angelica could just give me a hint because I didn't control my time.
Just one moment, please. Alright, we're a little bit late on time because of the problems we have. So you have more 5 minutes, if that's okay to finish. Thank you.
Has to be. Okay. So just to acknowledge here, Lucia Bento's suggestion about protection and privacy. She's mentioning that is still very important to when talking with young people, and actually this remark leads me to the second question. I think that we will not be able to go to the third, but to the second we will be able to, because, for example, this comment from Lucia Bento about protection and privacy, to know as professionals that are working with young people in the front line, and who are those? Teachers, social workers, youth workers. Those are the professionals working the front line with young people. So how should they know what to do? How should they select principles, strategies, what is relevant from what is not relevant, that could help them more, in a more relevant way, that could help them to work with young people that we know that not all of them are in the same situation, socially, culturally. So that is the second question. This second question is very much related with, has been said before by my colleagues, that we are not all in the same position. We have knowledge, we have technology, we have devices, we have tools that seem available to all, but they are not equally distributed. So this means that we need strategies to include young people that, because they are in more vulnerable situations, in more disadvantaged situations, they cannot access and use to benefit them digital tools and technology. So there is this concept that we found interesting, which is the concept of digital meritocracy. And this is very dangerous, and it's an actual danger, as it was the meritocracy related to education, because it's a way to measure individuals. It's a way to measure successful individuals, and this is very dangerous, because this will lead to, to put into boxes people, those who are competent and those who are not competent. And this is those who are smart because they are digitally literate, and those who fall in another box, who are always in disadvantage and always not so aware about what they could do with the digital. So we need to know how to guide those professionals who are working directly with young people. And we all know what kind of obstacles they may face. They may face obstacles related with poor internet connection, lack of devices, security issues that were already mentioned here. So in your perspective, how could we equip professionals, or what should be the guidelines to those professionals, knowing that those guidelines needed to be sensitive to differences that exist among young people? So let me see if
we have
I think
a question from Paulo Marinho.
Yes, and I think it was already related with the second question. Mm-hmm. That's a big question, Paulo Marinho. But are you if we understand this as related with for example, with advices for professionals, and how they could guarantee that while they are working with young people, they also have in their minds this you know, this paradoxical issue, which is like how to benefit from technology without losing some of the core principles that keep a society cohesive. And how this is a challenge, isn't it? Probably because of a lot of reasons, but mainly because we are not aware of the full process at stake, I think. But I don't think that the technology, I'm not so pessimist. I'm not like Bauman about, he was a man that wrote about fear. And he fears technology. He was saying that technology would jeopardize community and democracy. I'm not such a pessimist. So I think that we need to be careful, but we need to be aware that society is now by default digital. So it's here. And we use a lot the digital technology and tools in the past and in this year in a more massive way. But we need to be critical in every moment. So if I could transform this in a guideline, is to be aware of this paradox, is to be aware that these new things that technology may bring also brings danger. We know that. But technology also provides us platform to vindicate our rights. So it's also a space to exercise our rights as citizens. And young people, they are teaching us how to use the digital to press, to influence, and also to keep democratic values. So I'm not defending here the technology by itself, but in how we use. We may use it for harm or for good. So we need to communicate to young people that this could fall into these two places. But I believe that we may use technology also for good. And once again, some tech companies, especially in the United States, they are already working towards that. You know, they are producing what sociologist of the future, Cynthia Selling, is calling the future anticipation. And I think that's exactly to keep, for example, dangerous decisions in the hands of humans and not in the hands of machines. So this is a way of trying to keep democratic values of power and influence in our hands. But as I don't know, it's always difficult to balance, but to be aware mainly. I think I use more than 5 minutes. I'm just going to show you the last question that I will just leave here for you to take home and think. It would be like how to involve young people with different backgrounds in designing strategies to promote digital opportunities and inclusion. In this project, as you saw, we are very much keen with the idea that we need to involve young people in processes that are related to them. So we all know that young people are learning in different sites. We need to include them not only as receivers, but also as someone that might help us, adults, to better understand their cultures. Where are they learning? Where are they interacting? How are they using the digital environments for better help them in calling their attention for the critical thinking that we have been mentioned today several times. So, well, thank you for your attention. I see Angelica here already with her smile, which is a sign that I need to finish. Thank you very much for participating.
Thank you, Sophia. It was a very, very, very intense forum. We learned a lot, and the participants at YouTube also collaborate. Thank you. It was very, very, very good. We are going to great reflection, Sophia. Yes, Brit said, and I subscribe that for people. Good, Sophia. They are writing here on the chat. I'm going to share our word clouds because we couldn't do that. I had an internet connection, but now we are okay. I'm just going to share the participants' responses about the one word, what they found more inspiring about the handbook presentation. Let us see the responses. Sophia, stay there. We are going to go back to present the, here it is. We're going to go back to present the handbook. We're going to go back to present the workshop, next step of the project. So by using one word, please tell us what attracted your curiosity the most in this handbook. They said digital, people said that YouTube, and we thank them, digital citizenship, digital literacy, inspiring, useful, powerful. Oh God, some very, very inspiring words. We started the event inspired by young people, and then the handbook, the round table, the handbook presentation also keep us very inspired. Promotion, reflection about amazing topics, visibility, novidade, news, innovation, inspiring innovation. I think the word social inclusion, very, very, very important. I think the words of the day, the words of all these events is inspiring. We are very, very, very inspired to read the handbook, to reflect about the handbook, but most of all, to reflect about all these issues, everything that was said until now by all the participants. We are very, very, very great to all of you. Thank you, thank you, thank you. And we are very, very, very grateful also for the people that are with us, 50 people in YouTube seeing us now at the end. Very, very, very grateful. Thank you very much. Now, we are going to have the handbook, the workshop presentation, sorry. This presentation is going to be done by Annie, Brit, and Annie from Norway. I'm going to share the screen. Annie, would you like me to share your screen, your PowerPoint presentation? I can share it now, and then you can start. You. Okay, no problem. I'm going to share it now, and then we're going to talk about the next step of Mind the Gap project. That is our workshop, Tell Us Your Story. A very, very, very inspiring workshop. I'm sure about that.
Thanks a lot for the fruitful discussions before. Some of the things that have been already presented from earlier, they're gonna be said here also on the focus on the workshop. So in this session, we're gonna present an upcoming event. It's a workshop about digital storytelling and game jam. It is organized by No One Can Association as the leaders of the workshop, as well as the partners from University Norway, who are the international trainers of the event. Can we go to the next one?
Of course.
Thank you. So the workshop has several objectives. One of them is to develop tools for educational institutions to implement inclusive education approaches and promote digital media literacy. Also, it aims at promoting effective use of existing tools towards citizenship education. It aims to deepen the knowledge about the inclusive educational innovative approaches regarding the media literacy, and also for the young people and staff cross-border contact institution to experience European identity to the promotion of common values. And last but not least, to raise awareness about the risks and opportunities of the internet and social media. So all these objectives, they're also part of the project objectives as well as the core values of the output. Initially, the workshop has been planned to be held last year, 2020, in Bulgaria, in Sofia, and the target group of participants are young people from 15-20 years from the partner countries from Bulgaria, Portugal, and Turkey. The aim was to have at least 3 participants per country, and the workshop has been planned for 3 days. However, due to the COVID pandemic, we have decided to postpone this event for this year. As the situation is still not quite certain, we don't know how the event is gonna take place, but for sure we know that in each country there will be national facilitators, which means that each country will organize local workshops with participants. So we are aiming to reach more than 3 participants in a country. And with the support of international trainers from Norway and Brit, who are gonna present a bit more in a while about the event. They will help with the training plan and also the activities. Okay. So the training, can we still go back? I'm sorry.
Okay, sorry.
Thank you. The training is based on the document Citizenship Education developed by the European Council. And there are 3 main domains that are gonna be addressed during the training. The first one is being online, which includes topics like access and inclusion, learning and creativity, and also media literacy and access to information. Well-being online domain focuses on ethics and empathy, as well as health and online well-being. And the rights online domain includes discussions and learning methods about active participation, rights and responsibility, and as well as privacy and security online. So from this content, as you can see that the main topics that are going to be discussed are about human rights, children and young people rights, online cybersecurity, multiculturalism, gender issues, and also European identity. So the planned activities for the workshop, we can go to the next slide. The main objective is to explore media literacy by making digital stories. This comes in several forms where young people, they will share their experience. We're gonna watch together awareness videos. We're gonna perform group work, field work, as well as different cultural activities and exchange of experience. There will be also story circles, script writing, producing stories, and at the end of the workshop, it's also planned a presentation of the digital stories of the young people. The whole event like as we have seen from the competition, that the videos are quite inspiring. And we also think that this workshop, in some sense, it's gonna bring not only new knowledge and input from young people, but in some way we see it also as inspiring experience, as the young people will be able to interact with the participants from other countries and to share their stories. If they will be not able to meet each other, at least online in a virtual way, there will be different working games, and activities for them to share and to engage each other. So this is the overall presentation of the workshop. I'm not sure if we still have the young people online who are here, but I think that maybe they're not here right now. But now I give the screen to Unseen and Reed. We're gonna talk more about digital storytelling.
Yes, thank you. Yes, my name is Britt Svoen, and I, together with my colleague Anne-Stine Backman, will present now. We work at the university in Norway. And I can tell you that outside today, it's 24 degrees below zero and a lot of snow. We are indeed happy for having this opportunity to work together across countries in this important project, really. So thank you for inviting us in. So next slide, please. We will briefly present why and how we use digital storytelling in the MINDtheGaps workshops. But first, what do we mean by digital storytelling? We have already seen some great examples previously on this event, but to summarize, digital storytelling is simply stories told with digital technologies. Still, when we talk about digital storytelling, we often think of some specific qualities. The stories are often personal and expressed with the storyteller's own words and voice, and that's very important. It typically consists of images and speech, but it can also include videos, music, and other media. Digital stories, they are often short, only a few minutes, and cheap to produce, which means that everybody can learn to make their own story. If not at home, so in a workshop like the MINDtheGap workshops. Even if there are many ways of making a story, we often refer to a specific 7-step model, which Anne-Stine soon will present for us. And digital storytelling has a long tradition and is used for many purposes. In the MINDtheGap project, now I'm going to talk about the why part. We invite young people across countries to workshops to make their own digital stories, as you know already now. And in this way, we hope to achieve the following goals. We hope to empower young people by creating a space or a stage to express themselves, whether they want to tell something that happened with their grandmother or at school, sharing their concern about the climate challenges or something else. We use digital storytelling as a tool for social and digital inclusion by enhancing young people's digital and communication skills. And to make a digital story, this is a social process where you collaborate by sharing your ideas and thoughts with others. In this way, digital storytelling can contribute to a sense of, and now I quote from the handbook, closeness, friendship, and belonging. So to make a digital story is also a great way to encourage reflection. And as we have seen examples of today, stories are also great means to communicate and disseminate because they're personal, engaging, and touches our emotions and feelings. But maybe most important, making a digital story makes you proud. So how do you make a digital story? Next slide, please. And I give the word to Anne-Stine.
Thank you. Here you can see the 7 steps Britt mentioned. These 7 steps are based on the work of the Story Center in Berkeley and the courses held by Pip Hardy and Tony Sumner, experienced facilitators from England. As Britt said, digital storytelling is a personal and creative process. The participants in this workshop will create a digital story based on their own experience and thoughts. Therefore, the first step is to find the story only you can tell. What makes a good story? The next step is to present your story in a story circle. This is a small group where we can share the ideas and drafts, and with kindness and respect, we will help each other to develop the stories. The next step is to write the manuscript and turning this into a storyboard that can be used in the production of the of the film. When the script is finished, it is time to take pictures that can tell your story. Show, don't tell. Therefore, the written text in the script is short and illustrated with your own photos and maybe music if you want to. In the end, everything is being put together in a WeVideo application before the great final, showing your own digital story. And last but not least, celebrating with the premiere party together with the other participants. As you can see, both the process and the product are important in this workshop. The workshop are led by experienced instructors. We have seen a lot of good digital stories earlier today, but we would like to show you one more. And then next slide, please.
Yes, I've been asked to share a digital story which I made last autumn on an online workshop with Pip Hardy and Tony Sumner. And we can use this as an example of what we're talking about, except that I am not young. But as you see, the story is called Mind the Gaps, Bridge the Gaps, Cross the Gaps. And it's a story about the isolation gap that COVID-19 brought and the Mind the Gap projects. Thank you.
Thank you. We are going to show our inspiring digital storytelling made by Britt. I hope you can enjoy. I think it's a very good way to finish our workshop, our event. Sorry.
There have always been gaps in society. Spatial gaps, trading, security and opportunity gaps, wealth, vulnerability and literacy gaps. I participate in a European project promoting social inclusion among young people. But now, COVID-19 has brought another gap, the isolation gap. But this gap is different. It doesn't just affect the vulnerable, it affects us all. The first wave was kind of okay. Working from home, flexibility, peace and quiet, efficient online meetings and remote learning. A digital paradigm shift at work. At home, we became closer, spent more time together than for ages. We even made a TikTok dance. But the second wave was more depressing and disheartening as we again faced restrictions, isolation and uncertainty. How long? When will there be a vaccine? Will we become immune? Will living in isolation in a pandemic becomes the new normal? the pandemic begins to wear us down. One daughter has finished her education and started as an associate, but she's working alone from home, a gap in a professional community. The other is a student in a lockdown London. Her Danish boyfriend cannot travel to see her, a gap in her love life. My spouse just wants to hibernate like a bear and wake up when the world has returned to normal, a gap in his year. I feel it's getting tough myself, not being allowed to meet people, only seeing them on Zoom, Teams and Skype. A gap in connection. I know how lucky I am. I live in a country with low death rates, I have a safe job and I can go outside into nature as much as I like. For most of us adults, our lives will go back to normal when the pandemic has gone. That gap will close. But not for the young. They will never experience being 14 or 17 again. For them, that gap will never close. That gap will remain open for Roika from Bulgaria as well. She is one of the young people participating in the Erasmus Plus project with me. Because of the gaps between nations the pandemic has brought, she will not be able to meet other young people across European borders to develop knowledge with peers. Aptly, that project is called Mind the Gaps. But while social isolation and not inclusion has become the reality for the young people who are taking part, while they are facing new gaps brought by the pandemic, they are also adapting, recreating themselves, rediscovering themselves. There is a hope in this rediscovery, a hope for bridging the gaps so they can cross into a less uncertain future.
Thank you. Thank you very much. It was very beautiful. It was very inspiring. It was a great way to finish our event. I'm going to call Mariana Rodrigues. Mariana was listen carefully.
Yes,
of course.
I just want to say that it's important to have in mind that people are living in the hybrid world where the physical and digital, the boundaries between the digital and physical are becoming more and more fluid. So this digital introduction in our lives brings more challenge to the school education, particularly preparing the students with the digital knowledge, values, and skills to deal with all this transformation in their society, but also to prepare them to assume their citizenship role on this new context. Because the internet and the digital technologies are important contexts for civic and political participation, which cannot be neglected, basically.
Thank you, Mariana. Thank you very much. Now I'm going to ask for José Carlos Bronze and Melton to finish the session by the evaluation of this, telling all about the evaluation of this event. I don't know if José Carlos Bronze has listened to it. Okay,
yes.
I'm just
Thank you very much. I was still astonished by this ending. Thank you very much. It has been wonderful. I would invite Malcolm to say something before I can close the event. Malcolm, hello.
Hello everyone. I was really impressed for the last video, really. The feeling came out really because of the gaps that we will maybe never have so close as before the pandemic. So thank you for everyone. Actually, I took some notes, Jose. The first one is congratulations for the award that has been given by the Portuguese National Agency. Really, it is a very remarkable one, and for all the team, it's nice to have something before in the mid-term of the project. The videos that the young teams made was very impressive because they, not as the adults, but as the young people, they showed their feelings so free, and it was really amazing. And I let my children also show them behind me, so to look about these videos. And there are some new philosophies coming out because of the digital age, for example. We can discuss it. So, and also we have also discussed in the handbook. So the handbook will be a very important intellectual output and tool, I think, for every sector now, not only for education, for the private sectors, the developing social issues, especially law of digitalization, new ethics. There are a lot of new titles that are coming out, and we are inside the development and the change of the era, but also we are also with the project just now in a right project when I think about it. So with the reflections, the remarks and feedbacks, actually maybe we should make an after evaluation again, maybe after the session. I want to propose, because there are many things that came out, and they can be used for our further activities, I think. So thank you for everybody for all the know-how and developments, improvements that have been done here so far. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Meltem. So just to close this wonderful event, thank you, everybody. I would like to ask all the participants to fill in an evaluation questionnaire that Meltem and I proposed to the team, and which was approved, so you can also share your thoughts with us about the overall event. We've known that we have participants from all the countries that were involved that are involved in this project, but also as I could recognize from the YouTube chat, we have so many participants from Brazil, also from Mozambique, and probably others as well. So even more continents than Europe, which has been wonderful. I don't know if Angelica has already shared the link for the evaluation question.
Yes, I just shared it on the YouTube. Yes.
Okay, so I would kindly ask you to provide us your views, your thoughts, and help us also to take this wonderful experience, which is the Mind the Gaps project, to a good ending. We are still far from ending the project, but all your inputs are very relevant to support us, and I know they are going to be good ones. I've extracted some words from the chat, like excellent, nice work, beautiful, great, inspiring, fantastic. So we have seen that digital tools are able to activate our feelings as well. And we were activated initially by the videos of the youngsters. And this is what humanity is also about, either online or face-to-face. Thank you very much. We are expecting for your evaluations in the link. Thank you. Thank you all.
Thank you all. I'm just gonna say a few words. If you can't fill the evaluation now, we're going to send you by email. We are only going to send the certificates and the evaluation to people who fill the presence questionnaire. So if you have trouble, please send us an email and then we can send all the links again. Thank you. I think it's time to say goodbye. It was a wonderful, wonderful afternoon. We learned a lot. We were very inspired by the young people, by our participants, and also in the end, by the excellent digital storytelling done by Brit. I think this digital storytelling will go beyond the project. And when the project 5 years, so we'll still remember, we'll never forget that kind of, because we are all touched by the story, and all of us are connected, not only with each other in this project, and also with the young people, but we are connected to the world in this pandemic crisis and all this problem that we're facing together during an Erasmus project. We have lots of stories to tell. So we're going to write a lot of digital storytelling. Brit and Annie Room will help us to do that. We are waiting. You're all invited to join MINDtheGaps. You have the sites, you have the links, you have the email, you have the Facebook page, you have Instagram. So we are waiting for you, and you can always find a way to everybody be part of this project. Thank you very much. I'm going to finish, and I just want to know if someone wants to say something.
Just
Yes.
one word, because I think that the link is still not showing in YouTube.
Okay, we can send them by email. I'm gonna send again.
I just answered the.
Yes, it is available at the chat.
I just finished.
Yes.
Yes, me too. I submit already.
Thank you.
I just would like to say one word to Angelica. Congratulations for your coordination, because you deserve and the success of the project and of this event is yours also.
It's ours. Thank you.
It is as the award, as the agency mentioned, it is the world is an inspiring project.
Yes.
And I need to mention that I'm co-coordinating this project with Angelica, but Angelica is the head of the project, because she has a lot of competencies related with technology, both, and with Rita and the other colleagues from the CIE Research Center, and with the colleagues from the other 3 countries, and with José Bronze too, we want that this project can contribute to develop critical thinking and to use media literacy, but with the ethical rules that we discussed today. So I think that all of us are very, very happy, because we are developing a good project, and we have a very good coordination of this project.
Thank you all. See you. Bye-bye. We're waiting for you in this project. Bye-bye. Thank you. Bye-bye. Thank you all. Thank you for you, all people that are in YouTube until now. Bye-bye. Thank you. Bye-bye.